Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the One Nation of Gamers Summer Circuit. This is the EU qualifier number 2 finals. We're about to jump into the final match of the day. It is going to be KDG versus Mirrari. Once again, I'm TJ, joined with Aquablad. This is going to be a pretty exciting final, and I'm going to ask you for your predictions, Aquablad.
It's tough, man. We've had a clean sweep from both these players, and they've both played exceptionally well so far. But wow, yeah. I'm gonna go with Mirrari here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the EU. I want EU to take this tournament over Asia, and I've met Fake as well, and Fake's an excellent guy. So I'm gonna support MYI in this one. What about you?
Judging by their decks so far, it feels like Mirari's got a little bit of a better hold on sort of this open tournament deck building. He's got 3 very fast decks that will punish you not only for making mistakes, but for also having slower decks. KDG, it seems like his decks aren't, I don't want to say like optimal, but he has Oil Rogue, which can fall to any 3 of these decks. He's got Mech Mage, which just seems to be sort of the weaker version of faster mages right now. And it gets eaten up by all 3 of these decks from Mirrari. And then he's got Druid, which also has the tendency to just fall to the faster decks. So I want to see KDG take it, because I sort of have to be that the balance here. But it seems like Mirrari has a really good grasp on this matchup with his deck list.
I think you're right there. The Mirrari has the unholy trinity of classes right now, the top 3 classes in the meta, whereas KDG has decks that are outside the kind of top tier decks right now. Oil Rogue's considered to be among the Hunter, Warlock, Warrior trio right now. It's kind of just mixed in. Druid is just outside, but Mech Mage, it's a deck that's fallen off quite recently because of faster mage decks like the Tempo Mage. So yeah, Mirrari on paper definitely has a stronger presence here, but KDG,
Yeah.
he has some interesting tech cards in his deck, like Kezan in his Mage, and he had Forasan and Big Game Hunter and South Sea Deckhand in his Rogue, and he's got Harrison in his Druid. So maybe these tech cards will come into play. Maybe they will swing it in his favor. Who knows? We'll have to see. We've had some crazy games today.
Yeah, the Summoning Portal from Unstable Portal, which allowed for a turn 4 Emperor Thorsan, which allowed for a turn 6 Rag. Pretty crazy stuff. We made the prediction earlier that KDG might be bringing these decks because he's a Korean player, and getting cards on EU is actually kind of hard. Usually if the Asian players play on a different server, it's usually the North American servers. And EU server is sort of the 3rd one that they play on if they want to. So he might not have a lot of cards. Mech Mage is one of the cheaper decks. Rogue is one of the cheaper decks. Druid,
It's hit or miss.
it's got a lot of
depending on what you
epics. Yeah. But I don't know. The Asian players really love to play Druid.
I mean,
So
if you compare KDG to, say, Tom, for example, I see Tom playing a lot in Gfinity qualifiers, and I don't know if he plays in the premium as much as he used to, but yeah, he plays in the qualifiers, and he qualified for the first Gfinity Spring Masters. So he must have had a lot of the cards on EU already, whereas KDG is a player I'm not too familiar with. So again, like you said, EU's kind of the 3rd choice. NA usually takes priority, so maybe he's just trying to kind of slap some decks together that he could afford, because this is quite a lot of money to build a competitive account straight from scratch without investing a lot of time.
yeah. A long time ago, I tried to get cards on EU, and I gave up. I need to start doing it again because I need like 2 opportunities to get BlizzCon points every month. But it's just yeah, you're right. It's really tough to build double the collection effectively. And the first matchup is going to be the Patron Warrior from Mirrari versus the Druid from KDG, and we've seen firsthand today that this matchup can be pretty rough for the Druid player.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a pretty strong hand, though. He's got coin into Shredder, then he has Shredder to follow up straight after, and then he's got whatever he draws into next, or Druid Claw. So he's got like a perfect curve almost. But it's Patron Warrior. They're capable of anything, man. They can.
Yeah.
Such a swinging deck. It just swings back and forth with you. And usually, when a Patron Warrior swings, swings the tempo of the game. It swings it hard.
Yeah. So he actually just goes ahead and throws out the Keeper here for two reasons. One, card draw is the most important part in the early game for Grim Patron Warrior, so you want to deny that. And two, as the game goes on, the Keeper can sometimes become a liability because it's two attack, so it plays right into Patrons, which can just bounce off. So even though it seemed like he had like a perfect curve with Pilot Shredder and stuff, it might not have been. Ooh, Princess Summoner. It's like a miniature summoning portal that only is effective for your first minion. It costs 2 mana instead of 4. Not quite as exciting.
I must say, Pint-Sized Summoner has done some work for me on ladder today. It's let me play like turn 5 Fire Elementals with Mech Shaman. I've had about 3 of them on ladder in about 12 games, and they've swung the game for me because I've been able to drop, say, a Fire Elemental really early, or a Fel Reaver. So
or an Emperor Thorsan on turn 5, perhaps.
Yep, and this that's great for a druid. He's gonna make he's gonna be able to flood the board with bigger things faster now. And the thing with druids minions, apart from the shade which grows anyway, it's not something that interacts with patron that well, unlike other decks. Like you said, the Keeper of the Grove is a bit of a burden on you the later you keep it because it interacts so well with the Grim Patron. But he's got rid of that now, and everything in his hand is bulky, and he's going to rely on whirlwind effects and enrage and stuff to build that patron board.
Yeah. Now this is actually a really good hand to get reduced by Emperor Thorsan if you're Mirrari. He's actually got Warsong Commander, Grim Patron, and Double Whirlwind next turn, and he can even throw in an Execute. So if I was, he's definitely going to trade in the Pint-Sized Summoner here.
I mean, Pint-Sized Summoner has done his job.
Yeah.
You got a cheap Pharazôn, you got a cheap Azure Drake. That's some good value from that Shredder.
Yeah. But I think you just sort of go all in here with the Double Whirlwind because you can clear off the Shade as well as everything here. Ooh, Battle Rage. He's 1 mana off being able to Battle Rage too. That's rough. But I don't think it really changes the play. So Warsong Commander, Grim Patron. He's going to put 4 Grim Patrons on the board, take out the Shade, and he's going to be able to execute the Thorsan as well. So he's going to be left with, I believe, 3 Grim Patrons after this turn.
And he clears the board.
And he clears the board. Yeah, that's the important thing.
And if these patrons stick around, he gets a really good Battle Rage next turn as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And he can also keep the train going because he has another Grim Patron in his hand. The one bad thing about this is the Warsong Commander just dies to hero power. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Oh, he actually has combo.
Yeah, Thorsan lived for 2 turns. That's brutal, actually. This is a full board clear.
Wow. It's not very often Druid gets the option to do this at this turn because obviously Pharazôn reduced his hand cost, but usually you'd have to wait to turn 9, and it's usually too late for the Druid because there's just so much stuff on board that they can't deal with. And I mean, 3 damage is not a lot on its own, but when it keeps getting multiplied, it's excellent.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually a really big swing of events there for KDG because now he's going to be able to start building up the board here. He's got a really great hand. He knows that sort of that first hurrah is gone. Frothing Berserker doesn't help. He's going to have to Battle Rage for 1 and hope he draws into something that's going to help him out. Oh, Deathbite. That's pretty solid.
So he's going to want another... Oh, wow. That's not what you want to see from your Shredder against Patron Warrior.
No. I'm surprised why he attacked into it. This makes it... He might Keeper... Oh,
yeah,
no,
I was just thinking
he can trade it in, yeah. Huh. He wanted to keep that healthy because now he's going to be able to Harrison the Deathbite here and I guess it's okay. Yeah.
I think we're at the point now where this druid is sustaining. Oh, he's just gonna keep her it, I guess.
I don't know if I like keeping the unstable ghoul on the board.
No, I don't like it at all. Why would you keep a minion that benefits your opponent? Because he gets no benefit from this unstable ghoul. Like the only
Yeah.
thing it's gonna do is make more patrons. He had an
Yeah.
opportunity to get rid of it there, but not only that, he set up a 2/4 as well. So let's just say Mirrari drew a Warsong commander instead of that Inner Rage. He would have had, well, he just would have filled up his board with patrons again.
I think it would have been lethal because he had Frothy Berserker as well. So that was a little bit dangerous, but in the end, KDD does end up winning. So big swing turn where he was able to keep his Thorsan on the board for an extra turn, which allowed him to turn 7 combo, which kept him in the game and allowed him to push for the win. So KDG is going to take a 1-game lead in the series, which is a big victory for him because that Druid would have struggled against all 3 of these decks. So taking it the win against probably the deck that counters it the most is a pretty big deal for Mirrari.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's got that hard matchup for the lineup out of the way now, so should be smooth sailings from here. But he does have Mech Mage, which I'm not. I think Mech Mage is a good deck. It's just not as good as Tempo Mage at the moment. And what does I mean? Mech Mage does. I've played a lot of Mech Mage, and I was playing it when Patron became popular. But I ran a version where you ran Water Elementals instead of Frostbolts, and you ran Harrison and Blingtron. So you just had a constant freeze. So you constantly locked down the warriors' weapons, and like the Water Elementals trade in very well with a lot of the minions that the Patron drops. But I don't think that's that variation. I can't really comment on how the standard Mech Mage does against Patron because I haven't played it for a long time. I've played this Kaldi version. I'll call it the Kaldi version because that's where I got it from. Kaldi's version for quite some time. How do you feel the matchup plays?
I think it's highly in favor of the Patron Warrior because usually they can get board clears really easily. But cards like Snow Chugger make it kind of difficult. But you look at the hand already. I mean, he's got Slam. Like next turn, he could Slam and Fiery War Axe. Or even just slam Cruel Taskmaster and basically deal with the entire board. The one thing is that he could get punished for leaving this Mech Warper up for an additional turn, but he's going to have plenty of options. And once you stabilize once against Mech Mage, that's usually the game. They don't have enough longevity. They don't create enough tempo early on to be able to just close you out. Usually they rely on gaining a huge board with mechs and then burning you out with spells. So I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, one of the poor interactions Mech Mage has with the Patron deck is Blast Mage as well. It's generally against everything else, it's brilliant, but when it goes against Patron, like we mentioned before, all their kind of staple minions get interacted with taking damage, and you have no control where the Blast Mage is going to go. But this Snow Chugger is going to do some work here. It's going to be able to lock out this Fiery War Axe for a turn at least.
Yeah. But he does have Cruel Taskmaster, and I can imagine he's just going to slam the Snow Chugger here. And he hasn't taken much damage. Eventually he's going to get to the turn before he dies where he can Warsong Commander, Grim Patron, and then from there it's pretty much just downhill for the Mech Mage. I just don't see too much of a way for him to win. He could even, one of the big things is Mirror Entity is so easy for Grim Patrons. You can actually use Mirror Entity to your advantage. So say your opponent plays Mirror Entity on turn 8. You Warsong Commander and then Grim Patron and use his Warsong Commander to spawn another Grim Patron. So it's Mirror Entity is one of the easiest. This is one of the classes that can more easily deal with Mirror Entity. Thorsan too. Oh jeez.
Yeah, you're correct there. It's one of the classes that benefits almost from Mirror Entity sometimes. I mean, if you give them a Armor Smith, they can, if you get an opportunity to give them an Armor Smith, if you've got a Patron combo to back it up as well, you get 2 patrons off that, for example. Yeah. So yeah, I do agree. So he has to clear up this forest and he has no choice. What's he getting? He's got a few spare parts sitting here. Maybe the Archmage Antonidas can help swing the game in his favor, but he's still relying on drawing that without any draw mechanic.
So the one thing here is that there's no 2 minion creatures to bounce off of. So he's gonna have to wait one more turn before he combos, because the combo doesn't accomplish much this turn. There's a mirror entity up, so he can spawn a Warsong Commander, but he's only gonna get one Grim Patron out of that, and he wouldn't be able to keep the ball rolling. So he might just have to develop Fiery War Axe here, and swing at the Spider Tank to hopefully set up for. Oh wow! Actually, this is looking really rough. I don't know if, because Doctor Boom's going to come out next turn, and that's the turn that he wants to combo. He'll be able to bounce off the Boombots, but if the Boombots have rough hits, Mirrari could be in some trouble.
Yeah, if those boombots hit the Warsong Commander during the transition of that combo, it can actually just mess everything up completely because his remaining patrons don't get charged. But one thing to note that KDG did last turn was he put the armor plate in on his 4/4. So I think he was playing around Despite there. He wanted him to only be able to take out the Spider Tank or the Cogmaster. And these boombots will actually buff this Cogmaster back up to a 3/2. So it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good for KDG right now. It's going to very much depend on the interaction the board has with the Warsong Commander.
Yeah. All right. I think he might have did that out of order. I guess it doesn't matter. This way he gets more Grim Patrons. But yeah, where these Boombots go is going to be a big deal. He's going to attack into the Armorsmith first. So that way he puts more targets on the board. So the Boombots are less likely to hit the Warsong Commander, which is what he doesn't want them to hit. Once he takes out the Boombots...
Oh, here we go.
Actually, I think he just might be dead. Oh, no. That opened up more opportunities for him. Okay. No, he's still dead. Oh, no, he's gaining more armor. Okay. So... 18 damage. Wow, never mind. Yeah, he's going to gain a lot of armor. I was thinking he was going to be dead because there's actually a lot of damage on the board here for KDG. But he's not going to have quite enough. He can't even play the Clockwork Gnome. You just have to kill the Warsong Commander and then hope for the best. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. Thing is, if you use Fireball, like Fireball is one way out here. I mean, drawing a Fireball would help seal the game. It's tough. Yeah, you have to kill the Warsong Commander.
So
you can't let. But the Armorsmith's a problem too.
Yeah, he could kill the Armorsmith, Fireball the Warsong Commander, ping off the 1/1, the 3/1 Grim Patron. Because if he doesn't kill the Armorsmith, then there's no way he could win. Because there's going to be so much armor game. And then go face and hope he draws into Fireball next turn. I don't know. I don't think there's any way out of this for KDG.
Yeah, I think Mirrari's got this. I mean, even if he draws the other Fireball, as long as Mirrari clears board and he armors up, he's still out of lethal range. By 1, so yeah. Oh, here's the Frothing Berserker. And the Execute, yeah, he's just got everything he needs.
Yeah, he just needs to make sure that he armors up to play around double Fireball and set up for possible lethal next turn. I believe it is. He's got 11, 15 damage on board with 2 damage from hand. Okay. Dark Mage Antinitis would have helped if Grim Patrons hadn't come out a turn earlier than he expected with the Emperor Thorsan, but I think that is probably going to be it.
I mean, he can Fireball the Frothing Berserker here, but it's not going to do anything. He just concedes. He knows that he'd lost that one. And if you looked at KGG, he had a good board with the 4/5. He had the Cogmaster. He played Dr. Boom. Everything was looking fantastic. And then the Patron combo happened and swung the game. And that was it. It was Mirrari's game straight from there.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, it's going to tie up the series 1-1. Both these players have two decks left. One thing we did mention before is, well, we sort of mentioned it. Both these players have three completely different classes. Like we have six unique classes in this match, which is pretty cool. And we are going to jump into Zoo versus Mech Mage now. I think this is favored in Zoo. I think one of the reasons why Mech Mage was strong was because Zoo wasn't strong. I feel like Zoo is just like a stronger version of Mech Mage with not as much burn. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. That's why another reason why Mech Mage is cycled out now, because Zoo picked up a lot of stuff with the Mal'Ganis and being able to play Doctor Boom, because they never did it before. Classics who never opted for that more mid-range approach, but you can. It's so tempting not to now. Being able to get a 9/7 for free from a Void Caller is just amazing. It's just a massive tempo swing, and
Yeah.
ultimately Zoo is a tempo deck. So, and it just out tempos Mage. I actually had a discussion with Admirable about Mech Mage versus Zoo, the last Gfinity, and he says the only way Mech Mage wins that game is if it plays more aggressive than the Zoo. Otherwise, you'll never outvalue the Zoo in trade because they'll be able to draw more cards than you, and they'll be able to outvalue them with your minions. So, like you said, it's just a poor man's Zoo in this current meta.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it feels like. And this is sort of exactly the case. I mean, what is he going to play Mad Scientist? But Mirror Entity gets pretty easily dealt with by Zoo because they can just throw anything into it.
Anything low cost, Void
Yeah.
Walker. I mean,
Yeah.
Nerubian Egg isn't the best, but they still have to ping it they still have to invest 2 turns of hero power to activate it, which is really slow. So ultimately, that's not even too bad itself.
Yeah.
So the Void Walker will stop this in its tracks. What's that? Oh, so he just Dark Bombs it. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to give him an egg next turn, I think.
Which again, like I just mentioned, you have to invest 4 mana into popping the egg, getting that creeper out. It's just not optimal at all. And this again, this is not great. Not getting the spare part, but also not getting the extra 1 health and 1 attack.
Yeah.
The one thing Mech Mage suffers from, which Zoo doesn't, is it can very much be a goblins and gnomes deck when it wants to be. You could get these hands where you draw just goblins and gnomes, so you don't draw any net mechs, and all these goblins and gnomes cards have mech interactions, and
Yeah.
it just destroys the deck. It just stops in its tracks.
Yeah. Well, he uses the owl on the egg that gets Mirror Entity, so this is going to be a good opportunity for Paladin Shredder to stick on the board, especially with Goblin Blast Mage coming down the next turn. Mirrari's going to be hoping that the card that he draws this turn is going to be a dud, because he's just going to want to not to discard it. And Abusive Sergeant is actually,
The perfect dud, really.
yeah.
Ooh,
That was kind of risky. Okay, I see. The Abusive Sergeant, I think, is really good because he has the egg on the board, so I think he's going to wait. But it was sort of a risky move to tap. But trading in first indicated that he wasn't going to play Doomguard because there's 2 cards that would have stopped him. If he'd gotten Nerubian Weblord or Mana Wraith, he wouldn't have been able to play that Doomguard, which is kind of risky. So
He also drew into the Loatheb, so he can't really play it next turn. You probably want to get value from that Loatheb first.
yeah,
Okay, so he pings the. So he's gonna set. Okay, so he's gonna set the Neutron there. Do you like Spider Tank over a Neutron here? Because the Neutron forces the 4/4 to run into it, and then your free one can trade into that. So he gets like a 2-for-1 almost.
yeah,
And it's bulk. It's a more stickier mech as well, so it gives him a better Blast Mage as well. It gives him more of
Yeah.
a chance to have a Blast Mage.
yeah. Well, that's actually a pretty good draw because he's going to be able to keep his hand empty for Doomguard. Oh, he's actually going to Doomguard now. Oh, throw away the Loatheb, huh?
I guess he just wants to put on the pressure here.
Yeah. There's actually a way to deal with he can
Or he,
frostbolt.
or he was playing around the Blast Mage.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to keep that mech synergy on the board, which is actually a pretty big deal. Or if he had like a time rewinder as a spare part, he could have time rewindered the Tinkertown and brought it back as a 4/4. But now Mirrari has an empty hand. But this is one of the reasons why Zoo is considered the stronger version of the sort of Zooey decks between it and Mech Mage, is because it's got inherent card draw. So you're gonna have card advantage no matter what. Oh, but double Goblin Blast Mage is gonna be a pretty big deal. Let's see if he can snipe off the. Oh, 3 shots to the Doom Guard! Wow.
Just annihilates that Doom Guard.
Yeah.
Absolutely destroys it.
Yeah, that's, and he's going to be able to buff up the Goblin Blast Mage out of range. He does have Abusive Sergeant, but that's a pretty big deal, I'd say. He's going to need something big here, and let's see what he's going to draw. King Boss is actually really solid. It allows him to empty his hand. It also puts a really annoying threat on the board. It takes away the potential for Goblin Blast Mage to do much the next turn, because you don't want to hit that Goblin Blast, or you don't want to hit that King Boss multiple times.
I think I like keeping Abusive Sergeant here. He can trade. He can put a clean trade right there, like he's done. And now next turn he has the Abusive Sergeant, which he can use with an imp if any imps start coming out. So he's got. I think we're going to see a Fireball here. So yeah, maybe he won't get an opportunity to use it on the imp, but I think keeping the Abusive Sergeant was right there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if he can get good blasts here with the Blast Mage. He's going to trade first and open up. Oh. Okay.
Oh, wow.
One to the Knife Juggler.
Oh, that's not very good draw, is it? You don't want to flame imp at this point at all, really.
No, but I mean, he'll take anything. He just needs to contest the board. KDG's out of cards, so he just needs valuable creatures. He knows he's seen 1 Fireball, 1 Frostbolt, and Kongmaster is not a good draw. That's definitely a dud for KDG.
And this is what we were talking about. Mech Mage at this point in the game gets to draw 1 card per turn, whereas Zoo gets to draw 2 cards per turn. And usually at this point, Zoo can drop both of those cards, which he's probably going to do now. So he gets both these cards. So he's just got board back now, and it's going to be very hard for KDG to get this back without something like a Doctor Boom.
Ooh, Loatheb. Loatheb's actually pretty big, because now Mirrari has to worry about, hey, I'm tapping every turn. If he has Fireball on any of these turns, I'm dead. So Power Overwhelming allows him to deal with it. Voidwalker is good because it'll block a turn of damage from something. But he has to deal with every single creature that's put on the board now, because he's actually really low health. And KDG is still healthy. KDG is at 15 health, so he's not even within a turn of killing him.
So KDG's in a situation where Fireball just wins him the game.
Yeah, so I think you just start pinging creatures here to try and hold on to the board. Maybe to ping over a couple turns to try and make Frostbolt an out as well. I guess if he taps his turn, Frostbolt all of a sudden becomes an out. Direwolf Alpha, not the greatest. Power Overwhelming, not the greatest either.
Well, this is tough. He's tapped himself into Frostbolt range, and like you said.
Ooh, and I actually think that's game. Because he's going to Mech Warper and freeze and kill the Voidwalker, but Power Overwhelming will do it. Because he'll have 10 damage.
So Mirrari recognizing that he could probably win with that Power Overwhelming. And if he's going to just lose to Frostbolt or Fireball, it's just going to happen. It's out of his control. So he went for kind of the winning play there.
Yeah.
With those taps, which is good. Good play from him.
Yeah, you don't really have much of a choice at that stage, because you're not going to beat him just getting 1 card per turn, because overall I think the Mech Mage's card quality is slightly better, especially with this faster, more traditional Zoo, unless he's drawing into something like a Doomguard. But his quality of draws at the end there weren't that great, with like 2 Direwolf Alphas and a Voidwalker. But Mirrari does find a win, really close game, and we're going to move to a game 4. Mirrari only just needs 1 more win, and he has to find it with Hunter. And he's going to go up against 2 decks that, one that has Face Hunter has a really great matchup against, which is the Rogue, and one that is one that I haven't seen in a while, but it all depends on the early draw from the Mech Mage.
Yeah, it can be rough for the hunter sometimes, Mech Mage. If they can't deal with the snow chuggers, for example, if he managed to get one out early, it just locks that weapon up and makes trading really hard for him. But and the Blast Mage as well is very important. The Annoyatron, again, another card that's really important. It sometimes takes a few trades from some minions to punch through it, or a weapon charge. And every time you make a hunter commit damage to stuff like Annoyatron, stuff like Blast Mage, it just makes the matchup better for you. So
Yeah.
the Mech Mage has threats which stall the hunter, or the hunter just needs to get rid of. And I think this is going to be a good matchup for KDG. It's going to be the rogue game that's going to, I think, could be the decider. You know, these faster versions of hunter is very hard for a rogue to deal with these days.
Yeah. Because they're taking damage from trying to clear the board. There a lot of times, like what it comes down to is a race. But yeah, this matchup, I believe that was explosive. Yeah, explosive trap.
So that's really good for Mirrari straight away. He gets to clear everything he's developed so far, and he needs to. So does he test a trap first? The best way for him to test a trap here is to run the Annoytron into the 1/1, because if it's freezing, it just bounces back to his hand, and he can replay if he wants. If it's explosive, he knows that he needs to play the Tinker Town first, just so he gets the buff.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to leave his board around just to be able to trade into a few things before he commits to the explosive trap. Because otherwise, this board's just going to get taken out by the explosive anyway. So he
Yeah.
might as well use it to get some good trades, and then he can pop the trap on his own terms, where his board has been a bit more depleted through the trading.
Yeah. I think he's just gonna. There's no rush here for him to do anything because he knows that all of the stuff is gonna die. So he might as well just hero power, try and get in the damage. Low dead makes things sort of problematic.
The problem Mirrari will run into if he goes to this general strategy is, oh wow,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah, that's pretty rough because you know that mech mages don't really have any way to help or to deactivate, I guess, the hunter's mark. A lot of times you can sometimes like silence it or do something, but now he's gonna have to attack into it. He can't really wait much longer because he knows that he's just gonna throw more and more stuff into it. But this is pretty good. He's gonna start putting on a lot of damage, start getting ahead of the race here. Puts him down to 22.
Now that Hunter's Mark's gone, this Antonidas is going to be really threatening coming in later turns. And he has a spare part sitting in his hand ready, so a turn 8 spare part into Antonidas will actually not be too bad. And, he's going to be able to recharge his secrets. Oh no, he's got the Mirrari in hand, so it's a bit of a shame there, but he gets a 2-2. I wouldn't complain with that.
Yeah, at this stage, I think you can probably just throw down the Archmage Antonidas. If anything, it's a 5/7. Like,
Yeah. Do you even trade here? I think you just go face.
just go face. No, I don't think there's any reason to trade because he's gonna have to use. Yeah, you're gonna put him down to 10. You win next turn if he doesn't deal with your Archmage Antonidas.
And as I was just saying earlier, these Annoyatrons are very annoying for hunters. They have to use weapon charges and minions to punch through them, and it's usually not. It's just too much resources invested into taking out a 1/2.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think you can fight through this. This is going to be a quick, clean game for the Mech Mage.
Well, Leok, he's gonna spawn 4 hounds that each are gonna have 2 damage. So he's gonna be able to clean up. Actually, he can board clear here. Oh, not quite. Not quite. He can.
You have to take him out, don't you?
Yeah.
Actually, I think we've jumped the gun here.
Oh, a taunt!
He gets a freezing trap as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he does. No, I don't know. He did get a trap, but I think he might run 2 explosive, 1 freezing. We'll have to see what that trap is. Oh, it is freezing trap. Okay, so he runs, yeah, 2 freezing, 1 explosive. Yeah, he actually can replay the Goblin Blast Mage here. He can actually Snow Chugger and then Goblin Blast Mage. And he's going to hope to pick off the taunt. Oh, wow, those are pretty terrible blasts.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but he does get the taunt down to 1 health, so pinging it is still an option next turn, at least. If it had not hit the taunt at all, it would have been diabolical.
Yeah.
Oh, Houndmaster. That changes a lot too. And another freezing trap. Oh man.
This game might have just turned around because now all of a sudden he doesn't have mech synergy for the Goblin Blast Mage. Mirrari actually has a lot of damage sitting on board, plus Eagle Hornbow and Sludge Belcher in his hand. He's gonna hit the freezing trap here, but yeah, he's got no way to use this battle cry. He's gonna have to like Frostbolt the Houndmaster in order to just stop the damage. Wow, I think Mirrari might actually take the series.
We counted him out too quickly. He had
Yeah.
that Leok really helped. I think if he had got anything else, Misha would have just not done anything. Huffer, I don't think Huffer would have done anything either, really. But he got that Leok, and that Leok helped those hounds clear the board and be able to sustain. And he sustained so well so far.
Yeah. Getting a drop here, especially Mad Scientist, to play into the mirror entity is actually a pretty big deal. Because now it allows him to play his Sludge Belcher, which is basically going to lock any creatures out of the game from attacking. So he sets up for lethal next turn. Unless, yeah, I think that might be it. He can clear off, okay, so he can clear off Leok, which would leave 5 damage on the board. So he'd have 10 damage next turn with Eagle Horn Bow and Hero Power. So I don't think that he'll just need to draw into 2 damage.
No more secrets. I think it's... I can't see how the Mech Mage can come back here.
He needs to ping him down to 7 and then draw into Fireball next turn. Yeah, that's about his only out. He didn't get any Fireballs off Archmage and Tinnitus. He's not getting the Battle Cry off here. So 2 damage he needs to win the game. Knife Juggler's not it.
So is it going to come down to a top deck here?
Yeah, top deck Fireball or KDG loses the series. That's it. That's his only way out, I think. Because he, even just with the weapon and hero power, he wins the game. Mech Whooper's not it! Wow. That is heartbreaking for KDG.
So Mirrari is gonna take this, and he's gonna be your champion of the Summer Circuit EU Open 2. And Europe defends its soil. Asia does not take a win this time. So unfortunate for KDG there, but Mirrari, as we said, his decks look better on paper. And to be fair, Mirrari had played excellent during this tournament.
Yeah, definitely. There was a couple of tough decisions that he made. He played with a very risky style, which works very well with his decks. And you sort of have to play that, especially if you're playing 3 fast decks. You sort of have to take calculated risks. But I definitely can big congratulations to Mirrari. He's actually Shoop was actually the player to win the EU qualifier #1, and he's a player from North America. So EU is saying, I need to sort of represent EU and actually have an EU player win the qualifier. So Shoop won EU qualifier #1. Hot Forum won the NA qualifier #1, and now Mirrari wins the EU qualifier #2. So those 3 players you're going to see at the first feature tournament. So those are the 3 out of 8 players that are locked in for that feature tournament, which will happen next weekend. So not this upcoming Saturday, Sunday, but the following weekend.
And the other players who participated in the tournament, they won't be walking away empty-handed. So Mirrari got 10 GEICO points, 10 championship points, and $125. Whereas KDG took away 9 GEICO points, which is not a big difference, really. So he did take away like a handsome amount of GEICO points. He got half of the World Championship points and $75. But he's got a hefty amount of GEICO points now. If he manages to come back next week and get into the top 4 again, or even win the tournament, he could get that land spot through the GEICO points. So it's not all is lost for KDG or the other players. They've achieved 7 today, but congratulations to Mirrari from My Insanity for winning today's Open.
Yeah, and just want to give you guys a little more information about the feature tournament. I said it's going to happen next weekend, and it's 8 players, and those 8 players are competing for a spot in the grand finals, which is going to happen at PAX, which is August 28th through 31st. Each feature tournament, there will be 4 throughout the summer, consists of 2 invited players, the four winners of the qualifiers for that 2 weeks. So the winner of the two NA and the winner of the two EU qualifiers for that. And then the two players with the most GEICO points for that week from each region that haven't already won. So that makes up a total of 8 players. So, of course, that'll happen next week. The next qualifier is actually going to be the North American qualifier, which happens on Tuesday. This upcoming Tuesday, the 16th. So that means the broadcast day for us for the finals of the qualifier will happen the Wednesday after that. Of course, all of this information, plus information about the qualifiers after that and the future tournaments, you can find at geico.onog.gg. So head over to that website now, check out all the information, sign up for some of the qualifiers. You can also go to Liquid Hearth to actually sign up for the qualifiers and get information as well. And also on the onog.gg website, you can find information about GEICO. You can get a GEICO quote, of course, GEICO being the premier sponsors, allowing us to give out $60,000 worth of prizes over the course of the summer. And you can also enter to win an official TSM PC. So I know I'm going to be trying to win that PC because those specs are pretty ridiculous. But yeah, it's going to be great. Do you have any final thoughts? Any final words that you'd like to give, Aquabad, before I close it off?
So, like you said, the NA qualifier is next week. So, if you are an EU player or even an Asian player, hit up that NA account. Get some cards on there. You could probably throw together some cheap aggro decks, and get involved, get into the tournament, try and get some of these GEICO points. Maybe even win one. You never know. Aggro is still quite good in the meta right now, and aggro decks, as we know, are quite cheap. So, get involved in these tournaments and start playing for some money and some World Championship points. But other than that, we've had a fantastic tournament today, some really strong showings from both Europe and Asia. And yeah, it's been great. It's been a pleasure casting with you.
Yeah, it has been a pleasure. So again, thank you guys for watching. Once again, big shout out, big congratulations to Mirrari. So from myself, from Aquablad, from the entire production crew at One Nation of Gamers, and with the Liquid team, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.